Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the weekly discussion roundtable
Panel
panel.
thingy.
We now have names.
Bi-weekly.
Yes, we did not have an episode last week, but we're back and better than ever. We have some name suggestions,
Excellent.
so I'm going to run through some of them. We haven't decided on one yet. This is from Hylian Badger 25. Random thoughts with Mossy Sin Company.
Okay.
Player perspectives. Gen Game Weekly D&D. Debate and discussion. Insights from insiders, because we're insiders.
We are.
Game genies, unlocking the knowledge. Chats from the couch, which we are now on chairs. So chats from the sea.
Yeah.
And the pause menu, which everybody seemed to like.
That was actually. Is this all from one person?
Yep.
Wow.
Are there badgers in Hyrule?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. The pause menu. What you guys could go ahead and vote. We're pretty up to whatever.
Yeah.
I like that one the best.
The pause menu.
To tell you the truth, yeah.
Yeah.
And any new ideas, feel free to throw them into the pile of names. It's actually a pile.
A physical pile. It's just a little bit off camera, right over there.
So this week we are talking about the biggest news. I think this week was EA's new streaming service of sorts, or subscription plan called EA Access. So before we get into it, let me just run down real quick what it's all about. So it is a subscription service, only on Xbox One.
So far.
$5 a month or $30 a year. As of right now, you get unlimited access to 4 games: Battlefield 4, Peggle 2, which I don't even know anything about that game.
You don't even Peggle?
Super
I don't
popular.
even Peggle.
It's a little popular dumb game where you shoot little thingies.
Okay.
Yeah.
And FIFA 14 and Madden 25, which is last August's version.
Yes.
Additionally, you get a 10% discount on all EA digital content on Xbox. You also get early access for up to a maximum of 5 days before release of a big game. And they also announced that Titanfall is not included in any of this.
Mhm.
So, some initial thoughts. What was your initial thoughts when you heard about EA Access?
I think it is brilliant, to tell you the truth. This is, in my opinion, the way the industry's going anyway. It looks like subscriptions are becoming more and more common. And it works out really well for both the supplier as well as the consumer. They get guaranteed money, and you get access to a lot more games than you ever would have had you not had this. They're older games, so you have to keep that in mind. They're not going to give you like the brand new FIFA next year as soon as it comes out. You're going to have to wait 6 months. So if you're like really hardcore, you still have to go buy the $60 physical copy. But to me, $30 a year is essentially like $2 and some change a month. And it's going to be an ever-growing backlog. You have to keep in mind it's really small now. It's only 4 games because it's limited to the Xbox One. It doesn't go back to the previous generation. So there's only so many EA titles out. But in a year or 2 or 3, this vault that they're claiming will never have games exit. They're just going to be adding to it. We'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I could see this in 2 or 3 years having like 50, 60 games for $2 a month. To me, that's insane.
I'm going to keep it kind of short. Little pre-camera rolling discussion that we brought up. I love the idea of it. Kind of disappointed that EA is the first one out of the gate with it. So,
Do you think, like right now, like so the 4 games they announced, Battlefield, I don't know much about that. But Battlefield, FIFA, and Madden, I sort of view those as more like the 2 of them are sports games, and the other one is not quite annualized, but almost annualized.
Almost, yeah.
There is no Mass Effect in here. There is none of their single-player centric games really included in here. Do you guys have a concern that with the games they have included, that this might become a cycle of, yeah, we're going to be getting the new FIFA, the new NHL, the new Madden 8, 10, 12 months or whatever after they're released, and then it's free. Whereas they're not going to put the single-player experiences.
I believe they will have some single player experiences. We may see a longer time frame for those to appear, maybe a year down the line. But right now, since this is an Xbox One deal, EA doesn't really have any single player games to present part of this. As far as it being mostly sports games, generally speaking, from a retail perspective, the sports games about halfway through the year tend to die out. People start trading them in and getting ready for the next generation of it. So for me, let's say I have Madden and I bought it when it came out and I play it for 6 months, and then all of a sudden it goes up on EA Access. I can then trade in that physical copy, get ready for the next one, and still be able to play my game.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the problem with it is there's just no single-player games out yet. I know you said Mass Effect and stuff. I know you're just using it for an example, but those are all last gen.
Yeah.
There's no way for it to work on the different hardware. You just have to wait, like everything, at the start of a generation for the libraries to grow. And once they do, I mean, you got like Mirror's Edge 2 to look forward to. Yeah, you have to wait 6 months or a year after its release.
Dragon Age.
You got Battlefront from Star Wars. There's going to be single-player experiences that you're going to be able to have. You just got to wait.
Peggle in its own is a single-player puzzle game. It's, I won't say as popular, but it's a modern-day Tetris. Essentially, you can get Peggle on any platform. I know they have multiplayer portions of it, but generally speaking, Peggle is something that you sit there and, it's a puzzle game. It's like Bubble
Bobble,
and
stuff like that. Yeah.
So it's little jewels. You got to line them up. They explode. It's got a unicorn.
It does.
So I'm trying to think of what EA games have come out this gen that are not in this bundle, other than Titanfall.
Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't doubt eventually is coming.
Yeah, that was.
They actually just, it was March-ish, and they just released a current or an updated DLC pack for that for free. So there's still some life there, especially since Plants vs. Zombies hasn't or has just come out on
It's
PlayStation
about to
4
come out for PlayStation
and PC. So it wouldn't make sense for them to necessarily put that out just yet. Let's try to make a little money off the physical copies.
What do you guys think is going to be that buffer period? You think it's going to be about a year?
I think it's going to differ from game to game.
Sports games.
I think he hit it right on the head. Right around the 6 month mark is when people. I mean, you don't have too many people buying Madden in February. You know what I mean? Like after the Super Bowl or March, you just don't have it, and that'd be roughly 7 or 8 months after the release anyway. So I mean, it really doesn't cost them much to provide that game for you because it's done being sold for the year. Whereas something like Titanfall very well may come to it one day, but I think it doesn't have a ton of legs right now. But I think it's still selling where there's no reason for them to give it away, if that makes sense. I think when something's kind of done selling is the golden time to give it away.
You think this is a concern though? Like, because I think Titanfall, right now, if I were to go to the store right this second and buy an Xbox One and ask the store clerk or whatever what games I should get, I still think Titanfall is probably number one on that list. Would you say?
It's pretty high up there.
So it's still going to sell.
Depending on what you ask, because obviously they're going to, what do you like to play?
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think it's the best game on the Xbox One, but I could see how a lot of people would push that as the system seller, yeah.
So, like, that game is still selling. So, basically, they're not going to give it away until it's old news where nobody's buying it anymore.
Yep.
But then I asked, if that's all we're getting, is it really worth it? I mean,
worth it for us or them?
For us, for the consumer, because it's like the only games they're going to give you are the games that you don't want to buy.
Well, here's the thing: you didn't buy it, right?
Yeah.
You didn't buy Titanfall, so what does it hurt to get it for free later on? It's something you might have never tried. So I think it gets people who were on the fence or leaning toward no, and obviously didn't end up acquiring the game, to later give it a shot. And I think it helps EA because it brings more people into the multiplayer since they're giving it away for free. And it may pique future interests for sequels or trilogies or whatever, because somebody who never bought it now kind of likes it, and maybe the second one's a year away, and now they'll buy that.
In the current state of the video game industry, shooters are pretty predominant. It's probably the top genre. So you have such a saturation of shooters right now that it's hard to keep your game relevant. This is a way for EA to artificially keep their game relevant and keep people playing it to drum up interest for future projects. Or even if, like you're playing Titanfall on EA Access, and as you start up the game, they show you a trailer for Battlefield Hardline or whatever the case may be. They can build in their own advertising also into it.
Mhm.
I think this got a little bit of backlash online. Not so much because of the
Not
policy,
surprised.
because it's EA.
Of
The,
course.
the internet didn't like something?
EA is not very liked.
No?
I believe they're the worst company in the world.
Golden Poo, twice.
Yeah.
Mm.
What do you think if Ubisoft did this?
See, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or anything, but this is what's so exciting to me is this is how it starts. And now everyone can do this. Ubisoft can do this. Activision can do this. I know a lot of people dislike Activision too, but it opened the door, and you don't have to follow EA's guidelines. You don't have to keep it this gen only. You don't have to make this an Xbox One exclusive. You can do this where, like, we could use Activision, and you can go back to everything they've ever made up to, like, Atari games. If they can make them emulate good enough on the modern consoles, you can have 3 decades of video games at your disposal for $2 or $3 a month. To me, that's insane. I think it's brilliant. Unfortunately, it's going to mess up some of the less predominant companies. Like, I think the only ones that have a deep enough catalog that are third party is like maybe Capcom, Activision, EA, Ubisoft, and maybe Square.
Konami, maybe.
Maybe Konami. Yeah,
Those middle tier ones don't have.
they
Konami
don't.
might be in there.
I don't know if they have the catalog.
Right,
I don't know if they have the catalog, and even if they have enough games, I don't know if enough of them were good to make people want to. I mean, it's only $2 or $3, but if 4 or 5 of these start coming out, it's going to be harder and harder to get people to subscribe to yours when there's more options.
I think this is a great slap in the face to PlayStation Now, which has been getting even more backlash because of the price points. Granted, I understand it's still in beta, but the price points that they've presented for some of the games, like you pay $50 for 90 days to play Last of Us, for instance, which is kind of insane when you can buy the game for that much or cheaper. But having such a low price point is going to be hugely beneficial for them. And what you were saying, like with some of the middle tier or B plus studios down the line, we could see like a Netflix type service where a bunch of the smaller studios
Get together.
get together and have a subscription service.
You mentioned PlayStation Now, and so apparently this it came out that EA went to Sony as well, and Sony basically said no.
Mhm.
And I have their exact quote here. We don't think asking an additional $5 a month for this EA specific program represents good value to the PlayStation gamer.
Mhm.
That was their quote.
I also want to. I hate how they're saying that because I know you have options. I know it's $5 a month or $30 a year. Why would you continually spend $5 a month and pay double?
Well, people don't want to make that $5. The $30 a month is the equivalent to like a 6-month, I guess, commitment to an extent. Even though you're getting it for a year, but that's 6 months worth of. So maybe more people will want to be like, oh, I'll try this for a month or 2 months, and let me play these games.
And see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, like with the games they have now, like if I were to get this like today, I wouldn't get the year. As much as that sounds like a good deal, because to me, of these 4 games, maybe I try Battlefield.
I think you'd dig Peggle.
Maybe I play Peggle. Am I going to play it for 8 months, 9 months? No, maybe I'll play it once.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind every month or two you might be getting more content.
We don't know that yet, and we don't know what old content. Are they going to add UFC? Are they going to add NHL games? Like, are these going to be relevant games that I want to play, or is this going to turn into like you mentioned Netflix? Is this going to turn into a thing where we've got 30,000 movies, of which I don't watch a single one of them every month or whatever, and I only watch the one TV show or something.
Yeah.
And are they even going to have that one-hit TV show that's going to make you want to do it.
I think at such a low introductory price point of $30, I'd be willing to give them a year to try it out. And then after that, if I don't see anything that really appeals to me at that point, then I wouldn't renew. But at such a low entry point, like I said, half price of a full retail game, I've got a year of content. I would give it a shot.
I'm just looking at it like, I mean, I wasn't with. I'm on Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus. I have both. Gold, I hopped on 2 or 3 years in. I didn't have the internet back when it first launched. I was still at my parents. We didn't have it yet. And then PlayStation Plus, I got on months after it debuted. And so I've seen the progression. Well, the price points stayed the same. I think Xbox throughout
It went up $10.
11 years went up, $10. Not a big deal. That's over the course of a year. And PlayStation Plus has been the exact same price. And when they first both debuted, they were like a shell of what they are now. And I watch how they get better and better and better. And I can see, I think EA, people are going to look at it as soon as it debuts and it's going to get a ton of backlash. Just for what you're saying right now. There's only 4 games, all this other stuff. It's not really worth it. But if you stick it out or jump in a year later, I think you're really going to start seeing the benefit of something like this. I really do think it's brilliant how much you're going to be getting for so little amount of money. You got to give these things time. Like when PlayStation Plus came out, it was a joke. Now it's the best deal in video gaming. So, I mean, you just got to give it time.
You mentioned PlayStation Now. Do you think Sony is against it because they think it's going to eat into their new subscription model, basically, for PlayStation Now?
I think that if Sony is making a grab at an online streaming service, and their business model is different as it is, it may take away a little bit, because if they put EA's access on there, and then people look at PlayStation Now and go, wait a minute, hold on, I can play Battlefield for free, or you mean to tell me I got to buy Last of Us if I want to play it for 90 days for $50?
That might be a little bit of an anomaly, that one particular game you're giving, because that's brand new.
There's been quite a few price points. They're really kind of steep at the moment.
Well, here's the other thing. When PlayStation Now was first announced, they said they were going to, we don't know because it's still in beta.
Yeah.
They said they were going to have this exact same thing that EA is doing. They didn't have a price yet. They said they were doing like a Netflix style X amount of dollars a month allows you to play through, call it these 15 or 20 games that are on the PlayStation Now service for this month. And next month, maybe we'll take 5 of the oldest ones out and put 5 new ones in, and you'll have this constantly revolving door, very similar to Netflix. And you don't have to do that individual game $5 for 4 hours or whatever those ridiculous price points are.
Yeah.
That's one part of PlayStation Now. It's also going to allow you to buy games outright. So it's multifaceted. You can't just
No, I understand. I'm basing it purely off of what they've shown us so far.
That's like one portion of what they're doing. So
I
think that's what they're more worried about is they're looking into the, hey, we're going to try to charge $10 a month for this backlog of all these great PlayStation classics, and on top of that, I don't know if it's going to distract people having this cheaper option to play EA games. I think that's more their thinking, not the rental pricing. I don't think they care at all.
But do you think it's safe to say that EA is not going to put any of their games on PlayStation Now?
No, because PlayStation Now, I don't know, but I mean like PlayStation Plus, they're still working with them. Next month, I already forgot the title, but they're getting an EA game. Like after this happened, they're getting they're giving away EA games still.
I'm going to use a different streaming service as an example. The WWE Network launched this year. They still have content on Hulu and Netflix because that's beneficial for them. People still watch it. They still get revenue off of it. So I don't see EA pulling anything off of PlayStation Now because PlayStation Now is purely a back catalog service. As to where EA Access is going to have some incentives for future purchases.
One thing that seems a little unclear to me, I know with Xbox, are you going to need Xbox Gold in order to get access to EA Access?
They just took down the paywall for Xbox Live, I want to say it's 99% of all the content on there. You don't need gold to access anymore. Netflix and things like that. I think you still need it for like NFL Network. But maybe that's part of the deal with EA and Microsoft is to be able to present this without having to have Xbox Live.
I guarantee you still need it because
Think so?
you want to play multiplayer, right? And you need Xbox Gold for that.
Right.
There you go.
Like Battlefield. Sure, go ahead. Play the single player
Didn't think of
campaign
that.
without gold, and now what?
See, I think of Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus as like they're competitors, but they're almost equivalent to an extent. Whereas
Now, yeah.
No, not PlayStation Now.
No, now as in currently,
Yeah.
they are very similar in
Yeah.
style.
So like PlayStation has that additional PlayStation Now, which is sort of like brand new that Xbox doesn't really have an alternative for right now. And I don't think EA Access has any conflict with PlayStation Plus at all.
I don't think so either.
No.
And I think you'll still see all the EA games on PlayStation Plus, not all of them, but some of them. But its conflict, I think, is going to come with PlayStation Now. I think they're competing against each other, and I think Sony sees the success with PlayStation Plus, and I think they're foreseeing future success with PlayStation Now, and I think they might think that.
I will agree with you wholeheartedly once they show us that we're going to have access to, like you said, like Mass Effect and things like that, back catalog games.
I think it's PlayStation. They don't have to worry right now, but I can see this being a very big potential problem when Activision and Ubisoft all start jumping on board, because then you're not just dealing with, as PlayStation, you're not going, well, we have all these games, so what if we're missing these 10 EA titles?
Mm-hmm.
But now when you throw in 10 Activision titles and 10 Ubisoft titles, and they're all dipping into your pond of games you can give away for free, and then you kind of have to resort to just indies and be developers and publishers and stuff.
And in-house studio,
Then you start chipping into what PlayStation Plus is all about.
Yeah.
So I think that they have maybe some potential problems in the future.
Yeah, I could see that as a possibility.
Do you think, looking ahead, 1 year from now, do you think we're going to see an Activision, Ubisoft, or even the Nintendo version of this?
It's interesting you bring up Nintendo. They're the ones that I was really hoping would do one of these because, like, the Wii U's not getting a ton of games right now. Hasn't been since it came out. They come out here and there, but I think this would have been a huge selling point to fill in the voids because nobody has a backlog like Nintendo does. And if they had something like PlayStation Plus they could probably get away with charging more than Sony even does. They could probably charge $10 a month and people would gladly pay it for access to everything they've had, from all their previous systems. Especially with the Wii U tablet, you can incorporate all of the handheld stuff as well.
And possibly cross-platform with the 3DS.
Well, that I don't think I don't think the technology's.
I'm saying like where you could have like some of the classic GBA games on the DS and so on.
But I think that they'd make a killing, and it'd always give you something to play while you were waiting for the next Smash Brothers or the next Mario Kart that seemed like trickling out every 2 or 3 months. To fill that void, you'd literally have thousands of games to go back and play. And I think they should have been doing this for years, but
I think they're actually moving towards it to an extent. Like they started with the new Mario Kart game. It's like they have like a loyalty program without charging. Because like if you bought,
I bought Mario Kart and I had my choice of one
They
of
give you
5 games for
free
free.
$50, $60.
They were pretty relevant games.
Yeah.
It wasn't just shovelware. I mean, you had Wind Waker HD on there. You had New Super Mario Brothers Wii U on there.
Wii Party,
Well,
U,
and Pikmin.
And Pikmin.
Yeah.
So I mean, discounting Wii Party U, 3 of the best games on the system.
Yeah.
That are all within some games less than a year old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, especially when you still have Wind Waker Wii U bundles sitting on the shelf.
So taking this out of the realm of video games a little bit, this seems looking more at the TV industry, TV world. You guys, I believe are you a subscriber to like HBO Go or Showtime? Have you used any of those?
Yes.
Like, do you see the similarities between?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think this is kind of the way the industry's going as a whole because it's the reason Netflix is so popular. Okay, maybe it doesn't have every single thing that's brand spanking new, but it has an awful lot of entertainment, and you get stuff when you want it, where you want it, and you have no commercials. And these are things that have always burdened television. It's like, well, if I want to watch this one show before DVRs and stuff for the younger viewers, you actually had to be at home when the show aired, and you had to sit through commercials and all this other stuff. You had no choice to watch your program, and Netflix just changed everything. And I really think that's what this EA thing is. I think it's a game changer. You just don't see it yet because we don't know the full extent of what's going to happen. But I really think this is huge for the industry. I could care less that it's EA. I'm just happy somebody's doing it.
Like I sort of think like what was the original plan with PlayStation Now. I view that sort of like a Netflix-ish idea. Granted, it is Sony-based. Where I view this EA thing more like HBO Go because it's specific just to that one channel, or in this case, one developer. I think like HBO gets away with it though because it's HBO.
Yeah,
And there's so much
HBO
premium
Go
content.
also does offer movies.
HBO Go.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the point I make is like, I think HBO makes better TV and movies than
They do.
EA makes video games.
Well, here's the thing, because like HBO also costs way more than Netflix.
Yeah.
They have a smaller library, but it's arguably way better content. So if EA seems like they're charging less than PlayStation, I think that's kind of relevant to what you're saying, because PlayStation, I think, makes better content than EA, so they can get away with charging a little bit more.
So final question: are you guys gonna get it?
I'm gonna give it
At
a shot.
launch?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
At launch, doubtful at best. I'm probably getting this 6 months down the line when there's more than 4 games, 3 of which I've played or don't care about. It's just not worth it at the very, very beginning for me. This I can see is something I will get because I'm just like most of the internet. A lot of the things that EA does is quite bothersome, but there's no denying they make a lot of fun games. You don't have to like everything they make, but they do make a lot of great games. So to me, yeah, $2 a month is nothing.
I was so not on the bandwagon with PlayStation Plus that I missed out. Even if it's games that I would never play, I missed out. So I'd rather jump in now with my $30 commitment, try it for the year, and see what comes of it, and then be able to decide where I want to go from there.
Okay, we will see how it does. So that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, and catch us next week for another discussion.
Panel discussion,
Weekly.
thingy, wiki.
Weekly, bi-weekly.